Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Voices of Vic podcast with myself, Cam Smart. And tonight, myself and Cam are joined by Glenn at the Sky Blue Hub. We're here to talk about the Coventry City game on Saturday. All looking forward to getting back to league football again after what can only be described as quite an interesting international break, I think. Certainly from a Watford perspective, a lot of promising performances over the break. Cam, how are you doing, first of all? Have you been keeping up with some of the boys and seeing what they've been up to?
Yeah, I have. Nice to see him get a few goals on the big stage. I mean, that I don't know if you follow that Georgian football account, but I mean, every time they tweet, it's normally about Chapatadze, and they just absolutely rave about him. So that's good to see, considering they've got some other players who are at very high-profile clubs. So nice to see him standing out. But I just cannot wait for this international break to be over. Like every international break, I don't care about it. I just want it gone. I'm bored and I want the football back. But besides that, I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Like you say, the international break, I mean, obviously, you know, we've had 4 games, 6 actually, if you include the Cup. Obviously, the Premier League only had 3. It just feels like the international break just kind of crept up on everyone really quickly this time around. Definitely looking forward to getting back to the Vic at the weekend. Hopefully, Kayembe will score a worldie like he did last week in his game for DR Congo. I mean, that was just
it was a beauty.
Unbelievable, wasn't it? Unbelievable hit. And Chavakatsi, like we said, running from the halfway line and slotting one in the bottom corner under the keeper. So yeah, both had a good break. Obviously, as I said, we're joined by Glenn from the Sky Blue Hub. Welcome, Glenn. How are you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, guys. How are you two?
Yeah, we're good, mate. We're looking forward to discussing the game at the weekend. We'll jump straight into the questions, Glenn, that we've got. Obviously, you guys had a really good season last year. Not started perhaps as well as you would have hoped, but obviously last year you finished 9th on 64 points, 9 points outside the playoffs after losing in the playoff final as well. How did Coventry fans kind of feel at the end of last season? Was there an overall feeling of disappointment, or were you happy that you'd at least made the playoff final and it was kind of seen as a day out? If you were to get to the Premier League, then great. If not, then you gave it a good go.
We were up till, I would probably say, the couple of weeks before the FA Cup semi-final. We kind of had the playoffs in our hands. We had a good crack at it. And then we just hit the skids and lost a few games kind of freakishly. We lost 2-1 at home to Cardiff, where Liam Kitchen scored 2 own goals. And I still don't know how he scored both of the own goals. And then we lost at Southampton 2-1 after Haji Wright missed a penalty because he did the double kick where he kicked it onto his both foot.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And then we went to Birmingham City the game before the FA Cup semi-final, and we were absolutely garbage and lost 3-0, and that pretty much nailed any playoff dreams. And then obviously we should have beat United at Wembley. It would have probably been one of the best FA Cup semi-final comebacks ever. I think it would probably just beat you guys against Wolves, where you come back from 2-0 down. And then we got robbed. We got robbed by VAR, and then the penalty shootout. We just don't like penalty shootouts at Wembley. So yeah, and then the rest of the season kind of didn't really matter, and we just lost. We just lost games by odd goals and made loads of mistakes. So yeah, I was disappointed. Realistically, would we have beat Leeds and Southampton in the playoff final? Probably not, because we had too many injuries and the players were just out on the feet. So yeah, we came into this season relatively optimistic. The P word was being used a lot, promotion. And then we got kind of back to reality when we go to Stoke and lose 1-0. And that's just, and we've just been very up and down and inconsistent, basically. So yeah, it's been a frustrating start. We lost to Norwich, and it was a really scrappy goal that Norwich scored, and I don't think Norwich are that good a side, and that just frustrated me. And yeah, with the international break, to sit and stew on that for 2 weeks has not been very much fun, to be brutally honest, because it was just one of those games that it could have been 0-0, and I'd have got home and took a point. But yeah, it's just been very frustrating. We've just the last probably couple of months win the league. If you can't include the end of last season, you just think if only we need to do better, and we're just like that nearly team. And I don't want to be a nearly team. We need to take that step up and kick on, because a lot of people outside the club have been tipping us to do well, and we just did our usual don't start the season well, and you can't keep playing catch up on teams, because it's you're going to come unstuck one season and give yourself too much of a hurdle to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, we know all about having an FA Cup semi-final sort of completely indirectly derail your season. We were in prime position for Europe before our one. That feels like a long time ago now. But yeah, and then it just completely went off the rails then. So there certainly seems to be some kind of effect there. But you've had your fair share of outgoings in the summer window. Obviously, you're probably resigned to losing Callum O'Hare a long time ago. But Casey Palmer is one that surprised me. I don't know how he did over the whole season, but he absolutely tore us apart in that 3-3 at the Rico early in last season. So a bit surprised you let him go. But also Matty Godden and Liam Kelly, two experienced players. Are those outgoings that are going to hurt you over the season, or are you fairly confident it was right to move them on?
In terms of Matty Godden, I think Matty Godden wanted to go play regular first team football. I don't think he was ever going to get that run at Cov now. With the calibre of strikers we've got and signed, we've bought another 2 strikers in to kind of replace him, and we've got a few good youngsters waiting in the wings that are hopefully going to kick on in 12 to 18 months' time. Liam Kelly sadly could never stay fit for us, but on his day was brilliant. But he was probably on his way. It showed, I think, the first half against you guys last season he played, and then he got hooked. I think he probably just struggled to do back-to-back games. O'Hare, the O'Hare that was playing up to probably around the Preston and West Brom games last season was very, very good. The O'Hare afterwards was 1 goal contribution in 15 appearances for Cov, and that was the deflected goal at Wembley. So I was sad to see him go. I'm sad to see where he's gone, because I don't think he should be at Sheffield United. But I don't think any Premier League clubs want to take a punt on him. In the same way, no one wanted to take a punt on Hamer, and bizarrely, no one wants to take a punt on Gyökeres. And look at how well Gyökeres is doing now, but no Premier League club wanted to stump up on him. Casey Palmer is a very weird one, because he was actually doing quite well and playing reasonably well and setting goals up. And then I basically think our chairman wouldn't offer him a new deal that was suitable. Basically, I think he wanted 3 years, and we weren't prepared to offer him it. And Hull have offered him 3 years with an extra year option on it. And he's about 27, 28. So it's his last probably big contract. And Hull have offered him a decent wage. And yeah, we've let him go. And we're kind of short of a number 10 now. So we're probably going to have to jig things around and change the system.
Going into obviously the business that you've done, Glenn, over the summer, you brought in Jack Rodoni, Thomas Asante, Lewis Binks, and Norman Bassett. Are you happy with the business that was done over the summer window, or do you think that you guys could have done a bit better?
We were clearly in the market for a midfielder. We were pretty much had the deal signed and sealed for a lad from Red Star Belgrade called Marko Stamic, and it kind of fell through, and he went and signed for Nottingham Forest and then went on loan to Olympiacos. And ever since that happened, cheers Forest, love you guys. We haven't basically been able to get a defensive midfielder in. We've got Ben Sheaf, but Ben Sheaf is unfortunately very injury prone. Ben Sheaf on his day is superb, as he showed against Man United and Wolves in the FA Cup last season. He was superb. He ran the show. As soon as Mainu went off in the FA Cup semi-final, Sheaf absolutely dominated Man United's midfield and was superb. Shame he scored the penalty, but that is it. So yeah, we need a central midfielder. We haven't managed to get one. And that's a bit of a bugbear with the fan base. There's a couple of free agents that apparently we could have went and got. That hasn't happened yet, and I believe it's the chairman allegedly putting the kibosh on it because he doesn't want to bring in players that don't fit our model. What our model is, I don't know, because you can't play a season with your linchpin midfielder who doesn't play for a full season. He basically misses 10 games a season for whatever reason. So that's frustrating. We signed strikers. Did we really need Bassett? I'm not sure. He looks promising, but I don't think we needed him. I'd rather spent the money elsewhere. And we still haven't got really a right back to cover for Milan Van Ewijk, who is probably the best right back in the Championship. But if he gets injured, we haven't got a replacement. And we probably need another centre half because we haven't replaced McFadden. We need a leader, a rock at the back who does the ugly stuff, much like probably Matty Pollock and Porteous do for you guys. Just sticks his head on it and wins the headers. Yeah. We're just kind of trying to find that combination that works. So I would probably say our transfer dealings about 7.5. I don't think we're going to bring anyone in before the game on Saturday. So yeah, I think we say it depends. Can we keep She fit till January? And then hopefully we'll go and sign some players in January because we definitely need the money. We're probably hoping that Gyökeres gets a big money move in January somewhere and we get our less payday out of that. And that could be a few £1 million in our back pocket. So that will boost the coffers definitely.
Who's the rumours out of interest on the free market? Have you heard anything?
Matty James, I'm reliably told, was very good. He come to us on loan. The season behind closed doors COVID. I think one of his first games we played you in a absolutely boring 0-0 game, but he did a right number on Troy Deeney and just spoiled it. Yeah. But yeah, I think the guy's really good. He's exactly what we need around the dressing room. He's local. He's concerned when we tried to get him at the end of that season he had an injury record. He's not missed that many games for Bristol City, and a lot of the Bristol City fans I've spoke to said they were disappointed to see him go, but it's just basically they wanted to move on with the younger talent. The other one was Cyrus Christie, who's obviously been Fulham. I think he was at Hull City last year. Obviously, he was at Cov as a kid. Mark Robbins would know him. But I think there's rumours that Rangers are in for him as a replacement for Tavernier. But obviously, I think the plan would be bring him in as cover for fullback and centre half. And then we put Joel Latibodiere into midfield, which is where he plays for Jamaica. But we seem very reluctant to play him there for some reason. But Steve McLaren plays him there. He's the new Jamaican boss. And other international managers have played him there. But we don't seem to want to play him there for us. I think he's what we need, a bit of a nasty person who will get his foot in and kick a few people.
I'm getting the impression then that you're putting the poor start down to the transfer business. But I don't think you could necessarily say that about last season. The transfer business was alarming from the outside looking in, but it's become a bit of a theme that you're having these poor starts. And yeah, as you said, you can't just keep playing catch up. I mean, you probably missed out last season just because of that poor start, really. So, I mean, what is it that Coventry can't seem to get right at the start of the season?
I honestly don't know, because we had quite a good pre-season this season. We upped the calibre of opposition. I mean, last season, just gone, we were playing the likes of Forest Green, Exeter, MK Dons. With all due respect, probably not really up to standard. This season, we played Getafe, who actually kicked lumps out of us. So that was quite an entertaining game. We went over to Germany to play Darmstadt, who'd just been relegated from the Bundesliga. We played Werder Bremen at home. We wiped the floor with Everton 3-0, who played pretty much their Premier League side against us, and we made them look really bad. But yeah, just something from the Werder Bremen game to the Stoke game just didn't seem to work. Whatever, I don't know, and it's just hinders it. I mean, the only excuse this season is we've changed a lot of the backroom staff in terms of the coaching. Obviously, Adi Vivash has left us. He's obviously well known for the job he did at Chelsea. and he was really Mark Robins' lieutenant, second in command. He left quite surprisingly, and we've brought quite a few coaches in. We've got now 4 coaches who are all just first-team coaches with no actual assistant manager. We brought George Botan back, who you guys might remember from Villa, and obviously Cov back in the 90s. So, yeah, it's just, I don't honestly know. I think that's $1 million question. There's a lot of reasons why we're not doing as well this season. We just give daft goals away. In terms of the goals we concede for shots against us, it's ridiculous. And then we have lots of shots at goal and don't score. Basically, that's it. Norwich scored with a 1 shot on target against us, and that was deflected in. Yeah, and then Oxford probably had 4 chances in the game and scored 2 against us, and we relied on a last-minute howler by Will Volks to set Hadji right up when we should have been out of sight. So, yeah, it's very frustrating and annoying. And, yeah, it is kind of a bit now. It's starting to become a bit of a grind. Here we go again. And, yeah, it's not enjoyable because you'd think we'd have learned our lessons by now. But every season under Robbins, we started slowly. I think the only one we didn't start slowly was the season that was obviously curtailed by COVID. I think every other season we've started particularly slowly and always lost 2 or 3 of our first 4 or 5 games for whatever reason.
Yeah, that Oxford game, I couldn't believe it when I saw he'd scored in the last minute again. It's just the theme at home, isn't it, for you guys? You just never rule out when you guys are either 1-1 or 2-2, or if you've had many 3-3s and 1 4-3. But yeah, whenever you draw in, or even if you're behind, to be fair, the amount of last minute goals, it reminds me of Bayern Leverkusen. They just seem to just keep going and get those goals at home. But yeah, with obviously after the start that you've had this season, what's kind of the aim like for the season, especially like with the window? Obviously, you sound like you're not quite happy. Is there what's the feel around the games? Like, what are people sort of expecting from this season?
The players were obviously talking about promotion. Obviously, we did like a media campaign to get people to join up for season tickets, and it was get up, so get up the city, aim high, dream big, yada, 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 all that. And our chairman said that he wants playoffs minimum 3 out of 5 seasons. Well, we're now into the 3rd season, 1 season in the playoffs, 1 season we haven't made the playoffs. So realistically, Mark Robins has got to get us in the playoffs 2 out the next 3 seasons. That's the minimum expectation. I think most fans thought that we had enough firepower to win games, and they probably had reservations about the defence. We still have reservations about the defence, although the new goalkeeper, Oliver Dovin, looks a good keeper to bring in. It's very mixed fan base at the moment. You have the positive people who, like, Robins is the man, Robins is going to get it done. And then you have kind of the negative Nellies, who a few people from our podcast are very negative about it, and like Doug's going to pull the bullet on him sooner or later. But yeah, no matter what, Robins seems to, like, I'm still standing here. No matter what happens at Cov, he seems to survive it. So yeah, personally, I still think top 6 is an ability, but we're going to have to hit a very good run of form sooner rather than later, like we did the season we made the playoffs. And we're just basically going to have to rocket up the league and hope that we can get there or thereabouts around Christmas time. But the problem is we got some really awkward games coming up. We got you guys. We've got Leeds coming up soon. We've got Swansea we never beat. So yeah, it's not the easiest fixture. We've got Preston who we never beat as well coming up soon. So yeah, it's I would hope top 6. I think us against any side in the Championship on our day can beat anybody. We can beat anybody. We've shown that. But yeah, we're going to have to improve a lot to make the top 6.
Yeah, we obviously we spoke about this before we went live, because I was going to cut this question out. But you seem to think there is some debate, and you briefly touched on it there. Mark Robins, I mean, I can't believe I have to ask this, but Mark Robins, is he the man? Is he Is he, going to help you achieve your goals?
I will always back Mark Robins till the day I die because he is the best manager that I've seen at Coventry City. How he got that team that was basically on its knees, going down, going nowhere to win the Checkatrade Trophy final in front of 45,000 Cov fans. And then ever since that, he turned us round. And he has this good knack of when his back's against the wall, he pulls the rabbit out of the hat and gets away with it. I think the problem with the fan base at the moment is, I'll use the FA Cup semi-final as the classic one. His tactics first half, he set the team up wrong. He had the wrong formation, and Man United just ran through us. But then he changed it, and then second half we were all over Man United. So it's one. I think there's this question mark against his in-game management. Is he as good as maybe tweaking stuff like a Carlos Corberán at West Brom is? He's really good coach and good formations, and kind of gets the best out of, I don't want to say average players, but not real good players. And that's always been levelled against Robins. He's maybe a bit too passive, not reactive enough. And there is obviously now, like I say, Adi Vivash has gone. Dave Boddy, who was a major part of him and Mark Robins were very close. He was the CEO. He's moved on now. Doug King's brought in his own new chief operating officer. We've got Claire Marie Roberts, who's now like our performance director. She was involved with like the Premier League and I think some of the Olympic teams. So she's coming in kind of very much making the best out of it. And yeah, not having an assistant manager, having 4 first team coaches, 2 of which have never really worked at any. I think at least one of them has never been a first team coach. They've basically 2 of which have come up from our academy. And obviously we've got George Boateng, and then we've got another guy who came in from Wolves, who's kind of like a one-to-one coach thing. So yeah, there's just these alarm bells that, and also like I said about the signings, who's actually running the show, and also you always think when a chairman comes in, there is always a honeymoon period, and you do think he set the expectations that high with what he wants that there's going to be a point of no return, I think. And I personally don't want us to go and get rid of a manager, because I look and see what happened to other clubs who sacked a decent manager. I won't obviously mention the name of the manager that Watford sacked and took your local rivals up. But yeah, that would be my fear if we did get rid of Mark Robins, that another Championship club would go and snap him up, and he'd get him up ahead of Coventry. So I think he's earned his time, but there is a bit of unrest, and I don't think he helped himself with some of the comments he made after the Norwich game. I think he was just trying to say to everyone, just don't give the team time, and he kind of came across he was having a dig at the fans for expectations being raised, which there should be. We went and dominated Wolves in the FA Cup. We should have spanked Wolves outside. We should have beat Man United. We've beaten a lot of good teams at home, and there is an expectation. But I think that to then try and say to the fans, temper down your expectation, is a bit. We're selling a Premier League package for £500. So it's kind of mixed messages, and the club is now very much secret. Like any injuries, Robins doesn't say anything about, or you get conflicted stories. Any transfers, we just get the no comment thing. And I think there's a bit of the fans feel a bit like they're not getting the full picture on it. Like with Ben Sheaf, the media were told 2 different stories after the Norwich game about how long he's going to be out for. Hopefully he'll be back for Saturday, but I don't know for definite.
I hope not.
I definitely hope we need him. We need him because I don't fancy Jamie Allen against your midfield, because Jamie Allen's about 5 foot nothing and your lads are about 6 foot whatever. So yeah, that'll be a bit of a mismatch.
Watching Sheaf in that Man United game, he is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you mentioned Hamer and O'Hare sort of being snubbed, and Gyökeres being snubbed by the Premier League clubs. I wonder if they'll regret not going for Sheaf before it's too late.
Yeah, I just think he's the best Championship midfielder. He's
Yeah, I
certainly the
think
best
he's
English one now. And now Archie Gray's gone. I would say he's definitely one of the best English Championship midfielders. And the good thing with him, he's added goals to his game. That was the one thing I had against him. He didn't score enough. Last season, he scored some absolute screamers for us. So yeah, he's hopefully he's fit. But yeah, I just worry about him breaking down again because that's what has happened. We've rushed him back in the past.
Yeah, just for us, the next question. Obviously, we've just spoken about if Robbins potentially was to go. Is there anyone in particular that you wouldn't mind seeing Coventry go for next man in, or have you not looked that far ahead?
I mean, I do it occasionally when the questions come out about Robbins, just to be a bit cheeky and go, all right, well, if Robbins goes, who are you going to get in? And you get the same old names like, oh, we'll go and get Frank Lampard. And it's like, is Frank Lampard really going to do a better job in the Championship? And then it's like, or there's people say, oh, we'll go abroad. And I'm like, do you really want to go with foreign managers? It's kind of hit and miss, isn't it, in the Championship? You have some that do really, really well. Obviously, you guys had Jukanovic, didn't you, who did really well for you. But and then there's other ones that don't. So it's just kind of hit and miss, isn't it? So I don't know. I would think we would go for somebody. I was having this chat in one of our group chats. I would think we'll go for someone. You know, who's the Lincoln manager? Is it Michael Scabala?
Yeah.
Just because he's obviously been at Leeds. I think he was at Cov. He definitely lives local anyway, because I know he played a bit in the local non-league side round by me, and I think he would fit the sort of model that they want. I think they definitely want a coach more than a manager, because it seems like the transfer side of it's kind of been pulled off Mark Robbins a bit more, and it's with the recruitment team. So yeah, I think they'll probably want more of a coach. I don't really think that's the best choice in terms of that, but I just think they'd go for someone a bit left field. I don't think they'll go for a name, because I don't think we'd like, also maybe someone like a younger Sam Allardyce, someone who's very data and that sort of. I think that's the way we're going on it. But yeah,
how about John Houston coming back?
I'm surprised how well he's done. I honestly am, because I thought he was on a hiding to nothing at Blackburn, and he managed to get him out with some absolutely crazy results. And he's doing wonders there this season as well. So yeah, that was the biggest mistake that Birmingham made, was getting rid of him, and rid of him, and that's what worries me. If we got rid of Robbins, that we'd go and make a bad appointment. If we make a bad appointment, it compounds it, and then you're on a slippery slide down the table, isn't it? The only other one who is always linked with, obviously, we like Chris Wilder has always been linked with us, but I think obviously now he's back at Sheffield United, he's out of it. And probably maybe we'd go and look at, mate, I'll say, who else is available? Maybe someone like it'd be like a Michael Beale, someone in that way. Not obviously Michael Beale, because he's an absolute clown, but somebody like that.
That'd be atrocious.
And Anthony Barry, that's the one I'm thinking of. He was to do with Chelsea. He's like a coach. I think we'd want someone like that. He's a very, very good on the pitch, and a bit like Lee Carsley is for England, a coach rather than a manager. I think that's what we'll go for moving forward on it. But yeah, I still think Robbins is the man, but he needs probably a couple of wins at least in the next batch of games, just to ease the pressure on it, or people will start asking more questions and dissenting voices will get louder.
Yeah. So, but going on what you've seen from Watford this season, where do you think potentially Watford, what areas of the pitch do you think Watford will be able to hurt you? And similarly, the same question the other way, where do you think Coventry might hurt us in areas that you've been good in so far this season?
I've been really impressed with you guys, because I know a couple of Watford fans. I've been chatting to them from some other podcasts, and one of them was adamant that you guys were a shoo-in for relegation because you don't spend any money on anyone. So I don't think it was that one, actually. I think it was somebody else. But yeah, I was basically saying get your money on Watford because we've not spent any money. We're selling players left, right, and centre. And yeah, I think Cleverley's obviously he's got a very good record, hasn't he? I think he's only lost a couple of games. He's lost about 3 against they're all top sides, hasn't he? He's lost 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the lad. I'm not going to try and say his name, the Georgian lad. I think he did well against us, and then I think he got clattered by Josh Eccles in the game at Vicarage Road last season and ended up going off, and that kind of changed it. I think you've got, is it Pollock who plays at the back for you?
Yeah.
He's been doing well, hasn't he? And I think you're very physical and in your face. It showed against Sheffield United that you got stuck into when Hamer did one of his nice Hamer challenges, as he does. But yeah, in terms of where I think Cov might cause you problems, obviously I looked at the goal that O'Hare that are quite running with the ball. I think we might cause you some problems that way. And obviously I think Hadji Wright is good pace out wide. Yeah, and Mason Clark's been doing quite well for us from Peterborough. So yeah, that's where I would see it. I would just worry about us defensively against you guys because you are quite obviously a big side. So yeah, I'd worry about like long throws and stuff into the box because we probably won't have our best 2 headers. The ball won't be starting for us in Thomas and Kitchen. They're likely to be on the bench. So we aren't the biggest side in the world. So I think we can get done off set pieces a bit.
Yeah, Mason Clark's another one. I mean, I know he's traditionally a winger, but do you not think he could be the answer to sort of that number 10 problem? I think he played there for Peterborough a little bit.
That's something I've floated, but then I'll get mixed messages off him. He's really weird because we play him right wing and he doesn't look that good. But when we play him on the left wing, he looks a world beater. But we've got like Hadji Wright who play on the left wing, so he's never really going to play on the left wing. And we've got Thomas Asante who can play on the left wing. So he's a bit of a weird one. But no, he's I do like him. I think a 10 might be an option on him. I think we've got Radoni, and I think people thought Radoni was the players the number 10 for us. I don't think that's his style. I think he's more play a bit deeper, like as an 8. So I think we might not even play number 10. We might just go a 3-man midfield with Sheaf sitting, and then then it might probably be Torp or Eccles alongside Radoni. Victor Torp's another one who I think will get better, but he just needs to get used to the physicality of the league. But he can strike a ball and he can definitely pick a pass. So yeah, he's someone who, if you give us time to play, will cause you problems. I think if you press us, that's where we can cause problems because then we tend to go long, and we're not the best aerially in terms of winning challenges up front. Ellis Sims is all right, but he's not a great header of the ball, and he's not as physical as he could be. Like comparing him like Gyökeres did, or some of the other players we've had in the past that are a bit better at holding the ball up. So yeah, that's an area that Sims needs to be better at. So maybe we'll play Thomas Asante through the middle because he's a bit more suited to put himself about, and he's got a bit of pace when he gets stuck in a bit more.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think we've sort of been, the most aggressive pressers. Like sort of when we started under Valerian Ismail, I mean, players were flying forward to win that ball back. But it seems a little bit more reserved under Cleverley. But we do know he sort of makes those subtle changes depending on the opposition. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe he clocks that or if we're a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, I mean, obviously you don't sound the most confident about Coventry so far, and you know what, that suits our listeners. So be as negative as you can. Give us your score prediction for this weekend.
As negative as I am at the moment, we do have a good record against you guys. I think you've only beat us twice, and once was when we were, I think, a League One side, and you might have been in the Premier League.
Yes,
I remember it because I remember it because I had the horror journey home I didn't get home till like 3 a.m. in the morning from Watford because I think the M1 or the motorway was closed. We ended up going through Milton Keynes and somewhere, and I was absolutely just like, I want to go to sleep. But yeah, everyone remembers it because we did like twist and shout for like 10 minutes solid, even though we were getting smashed. So, and then I think we lost 3-2 to you in the COVID season. If you offered me a point now, I'd take it. I wouldn't back against Robins nicking a sneaky 2-1 win, but I'd take a point now. But that's purely based on hope more than any and previous form against you guys than any actual form at the moment. So, and also I think he'll change the team because we've got quite a few people who've been away on international duty. So that might freshen it up and it might throw a few curveballs for Watford to deal with.
Just to finish up, Glenn, something we do with all the people that we get on from Opposition podcast, a 3 up, 3 down. Who's your prediction for 3 going up and who's your prediction for relegation this season?
I think going down, I think Plymouth are going to go, sadly, although I do generally like them. I like the people who do their podcast. They're really nice. I think Plymouth will go. I was really impressed with Oxford. I think Oxford will stay up because I think they've done some really good business. Portsmouth, I'm going to say Portsmouth will go purely because I think they're going to miss Colby Bishop a lot. And I don't know when he's coming back. And I think Derby might be the other one. But I wouldn't rule out Cardiff or someone like that. I think Cardiff are another who might sack the manager. I don't know whether I actually tipped Watford in one of the ones I did a few because I did about 5 or 6 for various podcasts at the start of the season. I might have tipped Watford in one, which shows how much I know now in current form. But 3 up, heart overhead's going to say Cov. I've got a sneaky feeling for Middlesbrough. I always have. I think they're a good side. I've got a feeling we play them last game of the season. I think there's going to be something riding on that for promotion. As soon as it came up, I called that. And to win the league, I'm going to be controversial. I don't think any of the 3 relegated sides are going to go back up. I think the team to win that, I think Burnley, I just don't rate. Luton dropped off the face of the cliff. I mean, the signing, I love Liam Walsh a bit, but the guy has barely kicked a ball in however many years, and they're signing him as like the player. That's just weird for a team that's a Premier League club signing players who weren't even playing regularly for Swansea. And I don't like Sheffield United, never have done, never will do. Especially, they knocked us out the FA Cup one year, I think when the quarterfinals on a penalty shootout. Never liked the club. We played them at the CBS when it was all kicking off with Sisu, and it was probably the worst game of football we had, and they beat us 2-1. So I just don't like Sheffield United, so that's my reason for that. I think I would say Leeds, but I'm still not convinced by Leeds. So I'm going to go a total left field one. I actually think Sunderland might do it. I know one of the pundits tipped them, Gab Sutton, and I've watched them a bit since he said that, and I'm really impressed with them, and I think they'll invest in January as well. If they get a good, proven striker in January, I think they'll be up there. So, yeah, that would be... So I'll go Middlesbrough, Sunderland, and Cov.
Lovely. Well, that's definitely an interesting 3. But yeah, thanks ever so much, Glenn, for coming on this evening. I haven't actually asked, do you go into the game at the weekend?
I'm not. It's my better half's birthday this weekend, so that was no chance of me going to Watford. That was a no. So yeah, she's not enamoured that I'm going to watch us play Spurs on Wednesday night. So yeah, I don't think I'd have been lynched. There's a couple. I know there's a fair few of my team are going, and I know the podcast have done a piece for your program about our thoughts on the game. So yeah, it'll be a good game. I think it's a sellout as usual for the Cov fans, and yeah, I think we're always enjoying our trip to Watford. It's not 2 miles away to travel, and yeah, so it should be a good game, and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, all the best for the rest of the season, except when you play us.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah, good luck for the rest of the season, obviously after Saturday and when we play you again. But yeah, thanks ever so much for coming on, and hopefully speak to you again later in the season.
Oh, no problem. All the best, Joe.
Lovely. Cheers. Thanks, Glenn. Take care.
Cheers.
Oh, lovely. Right. Well, we're just going to have a little chat about the lineup at the weekend. Cam, what are your thoughts on potentially what the starting 11 might be? Can you see many changes being made at the weekend? Obviously, with people, obviously, I mean, I'm quite surprised. Obviously, Kembe's played a lot of minutes for us, and he's just played 2 games. No, he played 1 game and 1 half, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the international break. So he's played quite a lot of minutes. Do you think potentially there could be a change in that number 10 role?
I don't know. I don't think there will be. I think he'll stick with Kayembe there. But I really think there should be. I mean, you've heard me say it pretty much every pod I've been on. I don't think Kayembe fits that role one bit. He just doesn't really get involved in games. He takes way too long with the ball for my liking. Final pass is rarely there, and I just don't think he's really got what it takes to play as a number 10. What his role should be, that's another question entirely, because I don't think he fits the DM role either. And I mean, Tom Cleverley had to change it against MK Dons when he brought KMB on in that DM role because it just wasn't working. So yeah, I don't think there's a place for him in the system. I would absolutely love to see Kwadwo Bar get a start. As much as I think he'd probably prefer that left-hand side, I would definitely put him in. I think he's a problem. He's gonna get us so many points out of nothing if he can do basically more of what he did against Derby to set up Musa's goal. So yeah, I don't think we will make a change there, but I absolutely do want to see one.
Yeah, obviously you're just touching on Kembe when he gets the ball. The most frustrating thing for me is there's never a forward pass.
No.
Always he gets the ball, he stops, he takes a touch. He, like you say, he spends too much time on the ball. But then when he does distribute the ball, it's either sideways or backwards. There's never that instinctive, that pass that Chadvikatsi played to Kembe for that 3rd goal against Stoke, the through ball.
Yeah.
Quick forward pass. We were on the counter. It was perfectly weighted at his feet. He picked up the ball, but Kembe just doesn't do that. They're like chalk and cheese. Those 2 players in that whole that 10 role. So yeah, I'm with you. I'd love to see a change. I'd love to see Bar get a start. I mean, it won't happen, but even Vata. It'd be nice to see him get some game time.
I do hope we'll see him get off the bench, and I think we probably will this time.
Yeah, I hope so, because from what we saw of him in pre-season was really exciting, and in the games that he played in, obviously especially the MK Dons game, I thought he looked really exciting that night as well. So going sort of towards the back of the pack and the defence. I think Andrews will keep his place in the team this weekend. I also think Larouci will also start at left back as well. I can't see those positions changing. He's not. I commented on this in our chat. I was really surprised that Porteous didn't get a minute over Hanley in the international break. Hanley played both games for Scotland. So Porteous didn't even get a look in. So he's not actually played any football or started a game for quite a while now. So can you see Porteous maybe coming back into the team?
Yeah, I think he probably needs to. I mean, Morris, he's done all right in the few games he's played, but I thought he had a torrid time against Sheffield United. I saw Larouci getting a lot of stick, but I don't think Morris gave him any help at all. He had no chance out there. And yeah, sometimes, against a better team, especially with the players they've got going forwards. I mean, Morris, I don't know who they've got playing on the right. I mean, might be Mason Clark. I just don't back Morris in that battle, to be honest. And I think you need a more experienced head, a more natural defender. and someone who knows centre back, like the back of his hand. Whether that's Ryan Porteous coming in, I definitely welcome that one. I think it's time for him to get back in the team. Or could we maybe see Angelo Ogbonna maybe get his first game in a Watford shirt? I don't think Kevin Caben's going to be ready yet. I forget we've got all these players. I mean, we signed so many that we just haven't seen yet. So, yeah, there's room for change at the back. And actually, moving on from Morris, I wouldn't mind seeing Porteous in for Morris, but I wouldn't mind seeing Ogbonna come in for Sierralta, because I thought he had a pretty tough time last weekend. So yeah, there's room for changes all over the back line. And luckily we have got those options. So I'm really intrigued to see what Tom puts out. But I think it's going to be Porteous, Sierralta, and Pollock.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Going into the midfield, obviously I expect that to stay as it is, Sissoko and Tom Delibashiru. The big one, and I know what you'll be saying here. Will Jefferson get his first start for the club at the weekend, or do you think that Bakum Bio will keep his place in amongst the starting 11?
Yeah, I mean, despite what some people have you believe, I don't think Jefferson's Watford career is over after 20 minutes away at Sheffield United. And I think he absolutely has to start this game. We are all fed up with Bio. I think Tom Cleverley's probably fed up with Bio. So, yeah, I'm throwing Daniel Jefferson straight in there. Another interesting one to keep an eye on, though. I don't know if you saw what Lou Orns tweeted. Apparently, I completely missed this one, but apparently Tom Cleverley said Doumbia is now ready to get some minutes. So I just wonder where that would put Bio in the pecking order, because from the little we've seen, I think Doumbia is probably a better player than him. It's just about if he's willing to give him that chance. And yeah, I wouldn't hate to see Doumbia get some minutes, but I'd definitely start with Jefferson.
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, now you said it. I mean, he looked more exciting in that half an hour or 25 minutes that he got against MK Dons than what Bio has all season for me.
Like his movement and his technique looks a lot cleaner. Yeah,
he just looked like he wanted the ball. He was driving forward. He looked comfortable. He didn't look out of place. Yeah, I'm with you. It would be interesting to see kind of where Bio ends up once he comes in, because obviously I don't know obviously we don't know too much about the terms of the loan deal, but obviously if he was to fall down the pecking order, do you think potentially Watford might say in January, like, no thanks, you can go back to Udinese, we'll look elsewhere maybe in the window in Jan, or do you think they'll just hold on to him until the summer?
I think we'll hold on, to be honest. So I mean, whether he falls down the pecking order or not, we probably need that option around, just in case our other options get injured. So yeah, I mean, why not keep him? And if he's going to pull out more scissor kicks like the one against Derby, then maybe he can be useful. But hopefully we just don't see him start too many games from now on.
Yeah. And just a quick mention, I was reading this article the other day. I don't know if you had a read of it, of Rajvic and the underwhelming signing for Bromby, and the fans are just they don't seem really enthusiastic about it. Apparently there's 4 people ahead of him and they couldn't understand why they'd signed him, and they actually don't think he's really going to do much for them this season. And they're actually, I think a couple of people's view were that he's not going to fit into their system at all this season. So obviously I know Tom said that he's still got a future at Watford and that he expects him to come back and he's still part of things, but it's a bit of a strange move, isn't it, when Bromby have coming out and saying that when he's not even really kicked a ball. Like, you'd expect a bit more enthusiasm at least, but they're not really up for it, are they?
I mean, I don't expect enthusiasm. Those Bromby fans have more sense than most Watford fans. Like, we got rid of him because he doesn't fit our system and we're not going to play him. So why not give him a loan move? And you know what? I fully expect him to do absolutely nothing for Brøndby. They're one of the big dogs in Denmark, aren't they? And as you mentioned, they've probably got 4 better strikers. I mean, the Sunday League club down the road from me's probably got 4 better strikers. So, yeah, I mean, good luck to him, but I don't see him pulling up any trees. I don't see him ever coming back to Watford, unless we somehow end up in the Isthmian League. He might be useful, but no, good riddance.
We do genuinely love you, Mileta Rajovic, if you're listening. And actually, just one thing, I was just actually having a little look on to see if there's any other bits, because I've not actually looked at any Watford news at all this break. I've just seen something quite interesting. Apparently, Sunderland are interested and having a little look at Isaac's success. So,
Glenn mentioned that, you know, if they go and bring in an experienced striker in January, they could well push for the title. I don't think that's what he had in mind, Isaac's success. I mean, you know what? I'll throw out a controversial opinion that I thought if he, you know, stayed injury free and got more game time in that championship season, he could have done all right. But no, he's not the man for Sunderland. I'll tell you that now.
yeah, I think that is a bit of a strange one. Actually, I'm surprised I've seen that, especially with him doing so well. He's not the man to. Saying that, we're saying that he's not the man, but imagine he comes in and scores 20 goals. You know, he's a free agent, so they can sign him now. And yeah,
I'll tell you who might need him. Brøndby should take a look. Do you remember that goal he scored on his last game for us, Isaac?
I remember the Swansea last-minute volley. Is that the last?
Yeah, that was an unbelievable goal.
Yeah, it was. It was some hit there.
Out of nowhere, Akraf Lazar had the game of his life that day. I thought he was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, Lazar, left back. Yeah, crikey. Oh, that's a name I've not heard for a while. Pulling some strange names out. Yeah, perfect. So just before we finish then, Cam, obviously we asked Glenn, he said either a draw or a potential 2-1 win. Obviously, as he said, we've not got a good record against Cov. What's your score prediction for the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you just lose a game, it's all about, you know, maintaining the performance level and just making sure you don't lose again, basically. And I don't think we're going to have enough to beat Cov. I think the international break probably did them more good than it did us. And, you know, they'll have recouped, they'll have got together and come up with a plan. And I think we'll probably have to settle for a point, which against a team like Cov, I'd be quite happy with a point. I'd snap your hand off for a point right now. But yeah, I think it's probably going to be 1-1.
Yeah, I was going to probably say a draw. Although saying that, you know, as we pointed out a few times, Tom's record at home is decent. You know, we've got a good home record under him. So yeah, it's going to be it'll be an interesting game. So we'll see. But I'm gonna stick my neck out. I'm gonna say a 2-1 home win. But
certainly take that.
But a 1-1 draw. I'd be happy if we drew 1-1, just simply because of the record we've got against them, and obviously we don't really do too well. So you take a point against the teams you don't do that well against. So, but then obviously they've not had the best of starts. So you kind of look at that and you kind of think, well, you know, could we take advantage of that? So yeah, either the 1-1 draw or a 2-1 win. So yeah. But anyway, that's it for this evening, guys. Thanks ever so much for all those of you that have tuned in, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening as a podcast. Remember, if you've not hit the subscribe button, please do. Obviously, whenever we go live, you'll get notifications of that. And obviously, if you've liked the video and what we talked about, please do hit that like button. Also, if you've got any comments, obviously, please do put the comments in the chat. We will look at them, and obviously, we can go over things on our next podcast. If you've got any comments or anything like that, then please do leave those as well. But thanks ever so much, everyone, for tuning in, and hope you enjoy the game at the weekend. And we'll be back on Sunday for a preview. of the game. I don't know who actually is going to be doing that, whether that's going to be myself or I don't know if you're around, Cam, but yeah, we'll definitely be around.
Yeah, I should be available for that. So we'll see. One thing you can guarantee though is if we say 8 o'clock, maybe just wait for 8:10.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so we'll be back on Sunday. But like I say, enjoy the game, guys, and thanks for tuning in. Come on, you Horns.